Hi pet lovers, welcome back to Gina's Grooming channel. Last year we released a video on pet grooming dryers, so what groomers use to dry pets. We talked about hose drying, okay, so directed hose drying on a pet's body. We also talked about stand drying, so having your hands free while air is blowing on the pet while you can do things like brushing and detangling and dematting. And then I did mention kennel and something called box and cabin drying, but at that time I was only able to really bring up a picture and not be able to demonstrate what cabin drying is because traditionally these devices have been big and expensive and really out of the reach of small private groomers such as me or home groomers until right now. All right guys, let me introduce you to the Drybo ULTRA from Homerunpet. We got to test this out as an early release before its release in the States. So I'm really happy that I'm able to talk to you guys about cabin drying and demonstrate how groomers use it. So what is cabin or box drying? It is a standalone unit designed to gently circulate warm air or air around a pet in order to help them dry. Professional groomers use cabin drying in conjunction usually with our hose drying, with our stand drying, because for a lot of pets this gives us an additional option, especially if a pet has a little tendency to be afraid of directed air blowing toward them, or in the case that they have a particular area of their body, typically the head or the face, that they really don't like air being blown upon. So cabin drying works really well. So let's quickly take you through how this would work in a salon environment where professional groomers are working with multiple pets at one time. So what we have is we have a pet that has been bathed by you or by a bather. The pet is now wet, towel dried. So what we usually do is we start with the hose. We also implement the stand dryer so that we have a hose blow drying their body and then a stand dryer. And we can typically get them about 80–90% dry for the typical pet. And then we'll put them into a cabin dryer so that we can go and start working on the next pet, right, on the schedule, and so that the pets aren't sitting in the salon for too long. We have a nice, safe, gentle way to keep that drying happening while we can go and start washing another pet. So that's how typically you'll see in large salon environments who can typically afford the big boxes up until now use this type of cabin dryer in conjunction with the other dryers available to professional groomers. And the important part about the whole process is that the pets that are in the cabin dryers are always monitored, always in the line of sight of the groomer. Now, even though we've been having this unit for only a few months, I am very, very well versed with a lot of the questions that owners may have about cabin drying because I used to manage a large implementation with numerous big boxes that were made from a veterinary manufacturer. So let's go over some of the questions that pet owners have had about cabin drying. The first one is cabin drying stressful for a pet? Basically, are you putting them in a cage? Well, let me first say, of course, cabin drying is not for every pet, and you have to make sure that you're hyper aware of any reactions that a pet may have. Some pets may have a history or a bad experience with an enclosed space, so be aware of that. But for the majority of our pets, and I've seen a huge implementation of this for many years, they actually relax in a den environment. They curl up, they take a nap. So just letting you guys know, even my own pets are not kennel trained, but if I open up a kennel, they're gonna go in there because most dogs typically enjoy a den environment. But guys, you don't even have to take my word for it. We've filmed some of the pets that have been in the Drybo ULTRA since we've had it. So let's go ahead and take a look how they reacted. Okay, second question about kennel drying, is it safe? Are there safety concerns with a kennel dryer unit? Well, let me tell you, in grooming, if you're not vigilant, everything is a safety concern, right? We're working with live animals, sharp objects, electronics, water. So everything that we're doing in grooming, we have to be hyper aware of the safety of the pets. And in terms of cabin drying, there are a few key aspects that we really need to be focusing on to make sure that it is a safe implementation. So we have to watch how long a pet is left in the cabin. Want to make sure that with the closed door implementation, if there is a pet in the cabin dryer, even though the air is recirculating and it's fresh, we have to make sure that we don't leave them in there too long. So of course we want to make sure that the duration of time is only as much as necessary. Another concern is the heat. So this is limited to the temperature, how high you can go in temperature with this unit, so that really adds a lot of safety. But you have to be always concerned and use common sense. Okay, make sure that if your ambient temperature around you is warm, that you make sure that you consider that when setting the temperature in a unit such as this. And you're always monitoring the pets when they are in a closed door cabin situation. Another concern, we want to make sure that our pets always have access to water. Now this is, I'm going to show you a really cool feature with the Drybo in a second. But you feel free, if there's enough room, you can put a bowl of water. That is excellent for the pet. I do that with the pets that come to visit me. But there's also something really cool with this feature of the Drybo, and I'm going to show it to you. So there are removable petting doors on the side, and I'm going to show you guys this, but I wanted to show you this unit that it is removable. You can have a static one or one that has a locking, okay, door, so I can close this, or I can have this open. So I equipped this side of the door with that petting door. That's what it's called. But what's great is that you can add water to a pet here too, check on them, offer them water here, as well as, of course, pet the pets or use a brush to separate the hair while they're drying. And then, of course, the final concern is to keep these guys clean. So hygiene, fortunately, these guys are really, really easy to clean. Homerunpet thought of everything. You can lift up certain areas. You can basically clean out this guy and sanitize it completely, especially if you're working in a multi-dog environment. You're not buying this for home use, to make sure that it's sanitized in between each pet. So let me talk about how I've been using this unit as a private groomer with a small salon that only sees one pet or one family at a time. So I sometimes have pets that don't like their face or head blow dried. So for that implementation, I've been using that. It gives them a nice, gentle, stress-free way to get those ears and the head and the face dry without having direct air blowing at them. So I do use it very often if a pet is showing signs of stress from direct air. Also, I have been using it when I have multiple pet families. So this really helps because it's almost like having another person in the salon. So when I'm washing a pet, one of the pets, let's say I have 5 in one family, I can wash one little dog, get them pretty much dry, and then place them into the Drybo ULTRA, right? Set up what heat I want, what air blowing I want for that pet, and then start working on their brother or sister. And this really helps keep the ball rolling because we want to get the pets back into their home, into the loving arms of their pet family as soon as possible. So this really helps. It's like having an assistant in the salon while I'm working alone. Now guys, I have to geek out about this particular unit because after seeing the evolution of these cabin dryers over the decades, Homerunpet did a wonderful job addressing safety concerns and functionality concerns. So let's talk about what they did with this unit, and I can show you why I really find it incredibly cool. There is a control lock, so you can't press something on the digital display by accident. There is a temperature limit, which, although you should still monitor, adds a great safety measure. It is incredibly well ventilated. You have an option to have static or opening petting doors. There is a cooling feature on this unit. So not only do you have preset warm drying options, you have a cool setting that blows cool air around a pet in case you are living in a hot environment and need to cool off your pet. And what's great is if you're buying this for home use, you can use this as a den, doors open. You can have this as a cozy den for your pet and use it all year round. And guys, I want to stress the importance that after washing a pet, you want to make sure that that coat is brushed out and separated. Even though cabin drying is incredibly helpful, you still need to separate that coat to make sure that hair doesn't snarl together or kind of get stuck and matted. Well, all right, guys, I hope this helps explain how to use cabin drying in a professional environment and how it might even help you out if you are a home groomer working with your pets at home. Guys, if you have any questions, comments, feel free to put them down below. I'm going to keep you updated on this product, any promotions that are happening out there, but definitely take a look at it. I'll make sure to put links down below. Guys, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing, and we'll see you soon.